Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joanne. So today I'll be sharing with you guys how to cut this short pattern, and if you're new to this channel, you're welcome. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Thank you. So let's start. So this is the pattern I'll be using for the tutorial, and I've already marked the horizontal and vertical line for the starting point. I'm going ahead to take my hip measurement, subtracting 1.5 inch for band. Note that if you do not want a band for your shorts, please go ahead to take your exact hip measurements and other measurements. So I'll go over and connect the point like so. Next I'll be taking the crotch length. This is how to take the crotch length in case you don't know how to. So my crotch length is 11 inches. I'm going to be subtracting 1.5 inches for band to take my crotch length, which is 11 inches. I'll go on ahead and connect the points together like so. So the next thing I'll be doing now is to take my short length, still subtracting 1.5 inches for band. I'll take my short length, which is 19 inches. I'll go ahead and take on the other side 19 inches as well. I'll connect the points together. The next thing I'll be doing now is to take my thigh length. To measure the thigh length is usually 3 or 2.5 inches from the crotch line, like so. So I'm going to be connecting the point together. So next is to take the hip measurement. So the hip measurement is, my hip measurement is 44 inches. 44 inches divided by 4, I have 11. I'm going to be adding a 1/4 of an inch measurement for ease. Then I'll repeat the same thing on the waistline, same thing on the crotch line. I'll go ahead and connect the points together using a straight ruler. So I'll go over to the crotch line and extend the measurement by 3 inches, like so. I'll go ahead and mark 3 inches. Then on that corner there, I'll go ahead and extend that line by 1.5 inches. I'm doing this so as to enable me take a perfect curve for that crouch. You wouldn't want to draw your crouch too deep. So you go ahead and use a curve ruler to connect the points like so. Connect it to meet with that line, straight line there. So afterwards, I'll take the entire crotch measurement. Whatever I have, I'll be dividing that by 2. So I've gone ahead to divide the measurement by 2, and I'm going to be marking on each of the lines. On the crotch line, on the hip line, on the waistline, on the thigh line, and on the short length. So the next thing is for me to use a straight ruler to draw a line, a straight line there. So afterwards, I'll be taking my waist measurement. So my waist measurement is 35 inches divided by 4. Whatever I have, I'll be adding a 1/4 of an inch allowance for ease. Then I'll go ahead and mark 1 inch allowance for that. So afterwards, I'll be connecting that point like so. So I'm taking the curve all the way from the hip to the waist like so. So the shape is already out. So next I'll go over to my thigh line. I'm going to be taking my thigh measurement, which is 26 inches. 26 inches, I'll be dividing that measurement by 2, and I'll be having 13 inches. So for that 13 inches, the midpoint of that 13 inches is what I'll be placing on that straight line there, like so. And I'll go ahead and mark on both sides. I'll be marking 13 inches on this other side. So going over to the around circumference of my short length, I'll be dividing my measurement. 20 inches divided by 2 is 10 inches. So I'll just go ahead and place the midpoint on the line and mark 10 inches like so. I'll connect the point using a straight ruler. Beginning with my inseam, I'll connect that line like so, and going over to my outseam, I'll use a curved ruler first to connect the hip part. Then I'll connect this other part from down all the way up to meet my hip point like so. So next thing I'll be doing is to take my dart measurement. In order to take my dart measurement, I'll go over to that middle line, mark out 1/2 inch both sides. Then vertically I'll mark 4.4 inches and connect the point together. Please guys, I'm sorry about the background noise, please. I'll go ahead and take 1/2 inch seam allowance all around the front pattern. At this point, if you can do 1 inch, especially beginner, go ahead and take 1 inch seam allowance all around your pattern. But for this tutorial, I'll be taking 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch is perfectly okay for me. So I'll go ahead and use a curve ruler to connect the curve. Please, I recommend a curve ruler. If you do not have a curve ruler to take this crouch measurements, please go ahead and use a freehand. But please make sure you do not draw the line too deep. So I'll just go ahead and connect the points on the inseam, and on the outseam I'll go ahead and use a curve ruler to first I'll use a straight ruler to connect the point to meet with my hip. Then I'll go ahead and connect using a curve ruler like so. So next I'll be marking the zipper fly. So first I'm taking 1.5 inches from that seam allowance there. So I'll come down vertically by 5 inches. That is the length of the zipper fly. You could do 5.5. So I'll be drawing a straight line where I have the 1.5 inches, but it won't get to that 5 inches because I'll be making a curve like this. So I'll go ahead and take 1/2 inch seam allowance on the waist side. Please, at this point, if you've not subscribed to this channel yet, please do well to subscribe to this channel. Thank you guys, and don't forget to give me a thumbs up and share this video if it's useful. So on the length, I'm going to be marking the 1/2 inch seam allowance, exactly what I did on the waist side. I'll be doing that on the length side, the short length. I'll connect the 2 points together. So because this short is going to have a turn up, I'll go ahead and mark 1/2 inch down for the turn up allowance like so. Please, the first 1/2 inch I marked there, the first seam allowance was for the short. This other 1/2 inch I'm marking is for the turn up allowance. Please don't be confused. So I'll go ahead and mark 2 inches for the turn up allowance. If you do not want turn up for your shorts, please go ahead and just take 2 inches allowance for hemming. That's all. I'll connect the 2 points together. Because the down of our short or trouser is not usually straight, I'm going to be marking it like this. Please don't mark it straight. If you mark it straight, be sure you'll be running short of your fabric. So I'm done with the front pattern. I'll go ahead and cut the front pattern out. Please, while cutting, be very careful in order not to cut through the main pattern. So I'm just giving it a nice cut like so. Please, when you get to the zipper fly, be careful not to cut through your zipper fly. I advise you don't cut out your zipper fly. It's easier if you leave it this way. So this is the front panel. I'll go ahead and mark the back panel, placing the front to the back pattern. So this is me. I'm trying to extend the lines. I'm extending this line because definitely I'll be marking on the back pattern. I'll do the same thing the other side. So after I'm done extending the lines, next thing I'll be doing is to go over to that crouch line where that seam allowance is for the front pattern. From there, just place your tape and extend the measurement by 2 inches. Hope you guys can see. I'll just readjust this pattern so I can make sure you guys can see clearly. So I'll just repeat what I just marked. I'm taking 2 inches allowance, then I come down half an inch. This is just only applicable to the back side. So on that corner there, I'll be extending the tape by 2.5 inches. So I'll go ahead and remove this paper tape and tuck in the zipper fly because we won't be needing the zipper fly for the back. Next thing I'll be doing is to go over to the waist side and take 2 inches inward like so. Then on that point of 2 inches, I'll go up 2.5 inches. And from there, I'll be connecting the points together. So that is how I'll be connecting the points. I'll connect from the crouch to that point of 2.5 inches all the way up. From that point there, I'm going to be making a curve to meet to that 2.5 inches. Then from there, I'll be making a curve all the way up. Please do not mind the other points where you have on the waistline. It has already served its purpose by going into by 2 inches. Hope you guys are following. So next thing I'll be connecting on that crouch, I'll be connecting all the way down to the length. I just smoothing that part because I feel like it was too deep. The curve was too deep for me. So I'll go ahead and connect it all the way to that crouch measurement. So next thing I'll be doing is to mark my entire waist measurements. Whatever I have, including the seam allowance, whatever I have, I'll go over to the back side and place it diagonally like so and mark the points. Please do not add any other allowance to that measurement. Then go ahead and mark 1 inch on the hip side. On the thigh line, mark 1 inch. Then on your short length, go ahead and mark 1 inch seam allowance. So I'll be connecting those points together using a straight ruler. Then from there I'll use a curved ruler to connect on the hip side, to connect the hip side all the way up. So I'll just go ahead and take 1 inch allowance down here and slant that to meet the 1 inch allowance. Then on this other side, I'll go ahead and just trace that front pattern to the back. Then I'll go ahead and mark the down like so. So at this point we are done with the front panel. We are just going to put that aside. But before that, I'll be taking the waist measurements for the back side. I've already taken the measurement actually. I'm just going to mark that diagonally to meet to that point I kept there along the side. So go ahead to take your lines, the thigh line, the crouch line, the hip line, the waist line like so. So I'll just go ahead to mark the front, the back dart. But before that, I'm taking the front dart measurement, which is 4.5 inches, including the seam allowance. Then I'll just mark 4.5 inches on the back like so. You're not going to mark it like straight up. It's going to be parallel to this other curve line you're seeing here. So go ahead and take a inch seam allowance for that, and I'll connect it like so. So guys, we are done with the back panel. I'm going to be cutting that out. So let me show you how you'll be cutting it out like so. So I'm done cutting the back panel out. From that side seam, we go in by 2.5 inches. Go ahead and mark. Then from the point from that waistline, not the seam allowance, go in by 6 inches vertically. I'll just connect the point. Give it a nice curve like this. So I'm taking 1/2 inch seam allowance around the pocket area. I could not, at this point, I couldn't use my curve ruler. I ended up using my free hand to just do it. So at this point, please, I advise you, don't cut out the pockets yet, just yet. When you finish cutting the pattern on your fabric, you can go ahead and cut out the pocket. So next thing, I'll be cutting the turn up out. If you've noticed, I'm cutting on that middle line. So we'll keep that aside and go over to the pocket now. I'll be cutting the pocket out like so. Like I said, do not cut yours out, please. After you're done cutting your pattern on your fabric, you can cut it out. So this is me trying to cut out the pocket. I'm going to bring over the pocket seam I cut out to replace it back there so as to get that shape, that trace that line from the waist down to the crotch, the thigh line. From the waist to the crotch line, sorry. If you want your pocket to be deeper than that, you can go ahead and extend that line from the waist. You can go ahead and take it all the way to the thigh line. So where I have the darts, I'm just going to mark the width of the pocket around that area. So I'm going over to use a straight ruler to connect the points together like so. So after this, I'm going to go over to give it a nice curve. So I'm done cutting out the pocket and you can see the curve is out. So I'm going to place it underneath the front pattern. So I'll go ahead and cut out the pocket facing. So I'm done marking the pocket facing and this is how it's looking. I'll go ahead and cut it out. If you don't know how I did this, please just place a fresh pattern paper on the pocket and just trace out the marks like so. So I'm just going to go over and place it for you guys to see how it's looking. So have you guys seen the shape of the pocket? It's already out. Go ahead and put my hand so you see how it's looking. So guys, see how it's looking. Is actually looking very fine. So at this point, I'll be cutting the band. So to cut the band, I'll be taking my waist measurement. My waist measurement is 35 inches. I'll add a quarter of an inch to that 35 inches for ease. Then I'll go ahead and mark 2 inches for overlap. So next I'll be taking the band height, which is 1.5. I'll add half an inch to 1.5 to give me 2 inches. That half inch I added to the band height 1.5 is the seam allowance, what I'll be using to turn to the short. So just go ahead and mark all the way like what I'm doing. So I'll be connecting the points like so. That is the 2 inches for the overlap, and I'm just connecting it all the way up. After which I'll be adding half an inch seam allowance on both sides. At this point, I'm done cutting the band, so I'll go ahead and use my scissors to cut it out. So for the middle part, I'm just indicating this mark so as to remind me that I'm supposed to be cutting this pattern on fold. So I'll go ahead and cut the band out. Please, if you're cutting directly on your fabric, you don't need to cut it this way. Just go ahead and fold your band, your fabric into two, and add extra half-inch seam allowance to whatever band height you're using, be it 1.5 or 2 inches, as the case may be. So guys, we're almost done with this tutorial. If you've watched till this point, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. Please do well to like this video, share if it's helpful to you, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. So I'm going ahead to label. I've already labeled the band, and this is a turn up. In order not to confuse you guys, that is why I'm doing this. So I'll label the front pattern as front. I'll go ahead and label the pocket facing. So I'm labeling the pocket facing as pocket facing. So the pocket, I'm labeling it as pocket. That is the main pocket. Go ahead and label yours anyhow you want it. Give it whatever name you like. So this is a back panel. So guys, our short pattern is complete. If you want to see how I put this beautiful piece together, stick around guys. I'll be uploading a link very soon. And please do not forget to subscribe to this channel, like and share this video. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. Bye.